new Mortal Kombat movie is here. No, it's not a live action one, it's animated, and part of the, I guess now ongoing, Mortal Kombat Legends series that Warner Brothers has been releasing. This would be the third one now. The last one that released was the follow-up to Scorpion's Revenge, Battle of the Realms. Just to address that real quick, because some people have asked me why I didn't review it. Simply put, I didn't have a whole lot to say. Overall, it felt kind of flat to me. It tried doing a bit too much in what should have been multiple movies. It sandwiched in plot points from MK2, 4, 11, and different elements in between. It was a very messy movie. It was almost as if they thought this would be the last one and they needed to finish the rest of the series in one shot. It was okay, just a very compressed version of all the games smashed together. Now, Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind. This one is a different beast. I thought it was fantastic, eventually. It was a bit jarring at first, because I didn't really understand what the hell was going on most of the time. Why was the world the way it was? And by the big reveal at the end of the movie, everything made perfect sense, and it's awesome. This review is going to have some spoilers, by the way. I just can't talk about why everything is the way it is without spoiling some plot points. On the surface, the story of Snowblind is simply a Kenshi origin story, and I like that they picked that character because as fans, we're always used to seeing the big names, the Scorpions, the Liu Kangs, the Sub-Zeros, and while they do have a presence here, you don't see a lot of the side characters being pushed to the forefront in most projects. Kenshi was introduced to the Mortal Kombat series way back in 2002 in Deadly Alliance. He's been one of the few really cool characters that came out of that early 3D era. There was a ton of forgettable ones that came out. He's the blind swordsman with telekinetic powers. To start out, let's talk about the world of Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind. It takes place in an Earth realm that's completely different from where we left it off in Battle of the Realms. Snowblind is actually not connected to that movie at all besides some references to Mortal Kombat lore. Like in this world, Liu Kang is still the honored hero of Mortal Kombat, having saved the realms from horrible threats. But he's not present in this movie, sometimes actually past, and Earthrealm is now a horrible Mad Max style wasteland. Food and water is in short supply. Revenants have ravaged huge parts of the world. Now, you may remember the Revenants from the new Mortal Kombat timeline, where some of the series heroes died and came back as undead monsters. In this world, the Revenants are a horde of zombie-like creatures that swarm the cities of the world. And this big wasteland is ruled by the Black Dragon clan and King Kano. And Kano has a fully robotic body, not just an eyepiece this time. A huge beard, and he's older. What? None of this sounds right. Everything about this world is off from how we know it as Mortal Kombat fans. During a first-time watch, you may think they just made everything up since the main tournament storyline was done, and they didn't really have any more stories to tell, but there's a very strong basis for this within the games. If you played MK11, you can start putting the pieces together when you see King Kano's tower and the cage matches that he runs. Suspiciously familiar to his ending in Mortal Kombat 11. And here's where the spoilers come in. Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind blows the door wide open to have a huge multiverse of animated Mortal Kombat projects, and I hope we see more of this. To understand the movie, here's Kano's Mortal Kombat 11 ending.
I spared Kronika, and she gave up the hourglass. The power to shape time and history to my liking? Oh, fuck yeah. I set it up so that everything came up aces. Every desire, every wish, every whim I ever had, done and done.
Snowblind is a continuation of this specific ending. It's such a unique and genius idea for a full Mortal Kombat movie. Just snag one of the many non-canon character endings, one of those what-ifs, and just follow it through and see what happens. What does the world of Mortal Kombat look like if Kano ultimately wins the power to control time and history? What happens after that video game ending? Snowblind answers that question. That's awesome. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments of what you think about that. There's so many possibilities with future projects now because of this. All the characters and all the storylines within have the same origin stories and established lore from the classic, and new timelines, but through the lens of Kano's new era. It's a Kenshi-centric story, but so much more at the same time. It's a deep dive into what would happen with a fully unrestrained Kano, gifted with godlike powers. And it's such a joy to watch because Kano is that one villain that you absolutely hate because he's just so evil. He's so bad. There's no redeeming quality about him. He's just evil, and he likes it that way. As far as villains are concerned, it was a treat seeing so many of them from the video games, including some very forgotten characters, and I mean very forgotten. Some of them play minor roles, some are quick little appearances like Jarek, he pops up, you remember him? Discount Kano introduced to Mortal Kombat 4?
Wrong, Jarek. This is not a brutality. This is a fatality.
Draman pops up. I guess in this universe he's allied with the Black Dragon. Farah and Tor from Mortal Kombat X are quick appearances. Aaron Black is one of Kano's hired thugs. And I think the one that blew my mind seeing the most was No Face. Let me know in the comments if you've never heard of No Face, because he's never in anything. He was a boss in Mortal Kombat Special Forces, and we never saw him again. That's it. His single appearance. It's so cool seeing him have a little comeback, even though he's a very minor background character with no real role in the story. The selection of the characters in the movie and the roles they're given really show how familiar the creators were with the game lore. Kano's main enforcers in the movie consist of Cabal, Kira, and Cobra, with Kira and Cobra being two of the Left Behind characters in the series. They weren't even in the new Timeline games, and they were also introduced during the 3D era as discount Ken Masters and generic early 2000s Hot Girl. The character design this time around is so much better, and it fits the overall Mad Max style wasteland aesthetic. Cabal looks great too, with gray hair. Since the timeline's pushed a bit forward at this point in time, classic characters are a bit older, and he does lack the super speed, something that Kano would have certainly made sure of to keep others around him down. And it does pull some lore from the classic timeline. Eventually, classic Kano wasn't in charge of the Black Dragon anymore, and Cabal sought to reform the clan in his image, with Kira and Cobra being his loyal first two recruits. And this movie toys with that idea. I love this because it keeps pushing the idea that the backdrop of Mortal Kombat lore is still there, except different due to Kano's interference with time.
Food, electricity, yeah, Kano is gonna love this.
If we decide to tell him. You know, this might be our chance. We've talked about it before. Doing our own thing without Kano breathing down our neck.
Another big character is Tremor, another boss introduced from Special Forces, although this version is based on the Mortal Kombat X version that was added as downloadable content. Much better looking character. He's a big lava rock monster with a hood, instead of just another ninja with a different color. He's Kano's big juggernaut, the one that delivers beatdowns when that extra muscle is needed. And Shang Tsung's also here in his old man form, of course as usual playing servant, much like he did with Shao Kahn, but this time he's abused and mistreated by Kano instead. And he is desperate to get out from under King Kano's rule. Normally it'd be insane that a character like Shang Tsung would play pet to Kano, but it makes perfect sense in this era where Kano's stripped away his biggest enemies of their roles and power. Now the good guys, our main hero is Kenshi Takahashi. He's a young cocky warrior seeking to be the best fighter in all the land, so this eventually gets him in confrontation with the Black Dragon, and he gets his ass destroyed. His story is quite tragic, and the main ideas are pulled right from the classic timeline. His desire to be a powerful warrior causes Shang Tsung to immediately manipulate him to release a bunch of souls, and it results in Shang Tsung gaining his power back, and Kenshi being blinded by the experience. Straight out of Deadly Alliance. The entire middle portion of the movie is Kenshi dealing with his new disability and struggling to learn to live with that, and that's where Sub-Zero comes in. I was never a big fan of Old Man Sub-Zero from the classic universe 3D era after Mortal Kombat 4, but he works so well in this movie. He's a very Obi-Wan-like figure, living in isolation, and it pretends he knows nothing of the Lin Kuei. He's just a frail old man publicly that helps local villages by delivering food and water to them. This is a Sub-Zero Kuai Liang, by the way, that's at his lowest depths. Long ago, he tried saving a city with the Lin Kuei from a Revenant attack, and he completely lost control of his powers to create an ice storm. The resulting attack killed everybody in the area, including his clan and innocent bystanders, so he's completely wrecked with his guilt and left his ways behind to live as a hermit. He was done with combat. And Kenshi is this very Luke Skywalker figure that comes seeking training. The relationship between Kenshi and Sub-Zero is one of the best aspects of Snowblind, resembling a very Rocky Balboa and Mickey relationship, even to the point of using the same chicken chasing strategy from Rocky.
Catch the chicken.
How do I catch?
By not talking. The only thing that matters is this chicken. And
Sub-Zero is a wise teacher, struggling to keep Kenshi from falling into despair, drilling the idea into his head that regardless of his disability, he's got the power to master his other senses and live his life. And vice versa, Kenshi helps Sub-Zero remember to use his power to defend those that are powerless.
Just finish it. This isn't working.
It doesn't work because you don't believe in yourself. I've been where you are now, so low that the only thing you pray for is your death. But I learned only children blame their circumstance. Men change their circumstance. There is nothing more poisonous than I can't, even if all of heaven and hell are allied against you. You can. Understand?
If you're wondering where they got the idea to have Kenshi and Sub-Zero together, that's also from the classic timeline. During the Deadly Alliance and Deception era, Sub-Zero found a dying Kenshi and nursed him back to health. Again, close attention to the lore. In the new timeline, Kenshi and Scorpion had a close bond instead. And awesomely enough, Scorpion is also in this movie as an ally to Sub-Zero. You can't have a Mortal Kombat project without Scorpion and Sub-Zero. This Scorpion made a pact with Sub-Zero to act as a safeguard in case Sub-Zero ever lost control again. Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind is about an hour and a half long. It's filled with a ton of detailed callbacks to classic and new era Mortal Kombat lore. It's got a great cast of characters, and as expected, it's incredibly violent, as Mortal Kombat should be. If you're a fan of the series, this is an absolute must-have. It's so much better than Battle of the Realms, and I hope it leads to more of these standalone, non-canon scenarios. We already know we're getting a Johnny Cage standalone movie, so let's see what that's like. I always find these projects that go in these wild, unexpected directions to be the most interesting, and I'm really happy with what we got here. That's the review. Go check it out. You won't be disappointed.